This is Chris Grabowski recording for the Mystic Place blog and podcast. On October 8th, 2011 at 3 p.m. at the Irving Convention Center in Irving, Texas, there was the Star Wars Fan Days celebration. What you are about to hear is a recording of the Clone Wars Q&A panel. In this panel, we had 4 stars of the Clone Wars television show. That would be Steven Stanton, Tom Kane, Ashley Eckstein, and Meredith Salinger. Enjoy.
Thank you very much for coming out. We really appreciate you guys being here. I know there's a lot of other stuff going on this weekend. Texas O.U. weekend. Isn't there a Ranger game today, too? Something like that? But who cares? Because it's Fan Days, right? And I think that this next panel is going to make it all worth it. To me, some of the absolute best interviews that I've ever been a part of or that I've ever heard are interviews with voiceover actors. And so it's really cool that we've got a treat for you guys today because we've got 5 of the coolest voiceover actors from the Clone Wars series. So in no particular order, I'm just going to tell you who all's here. We've got Tom Kane, we've got Meredith Salinger, we've got Ashley Eckstein, we've got Captain Tabor, and Steven Stanton. Let's bring them on up from the Clone Wars.
Who always has the Chancellor's ear. So.
Very evil.
Yes.
From my
From her stand in the Senate.
I'm Captain Tabor, and I play Mamie Padme Amidala. And I also play Numa in season 1, and the Night Sister Karis, and some other woman I can't think of.
I am Ashley Eckstein. I do the voice of Ahsoka Tano. Characters, not as cool as some of the ones that Kat was just mentioning. I think like a turtle child, some other incidental characters. K2B4, I think, was the biggest one. It was O.C. Sobek's droid. Anyway, yeah, that's a cool one. Yeah, it actually stood for Kobe Bryant 24, K2B4.
I'm Meredith Salinger, and I play Padawan Varys Offee. And I also played a naughty girl, Ione Marcy, and I play Shea Manwe, who's Capanoida's daughter. And then some other people coming up in the next season that you don't know yet, it's a secret.
We can tell you, but then we'd have to kill you. I'm Tom Kane. I'm thank you. And timing's everything. I'm Yoda and Admiral Yularen, of course, and the opening narrator. Empire at war as the planet Ryloth falls under attack.
Say Tom is the only one who is in every single episode.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that until a couple of you pointed out. I'm like, that's true.
That's the best gig of all.
So anyway, well, we got a microphone set up here. If anybody want to ask some questions, that'll sort of help us figure out what you want to talk about. Because we're clueless. Without a script, we're not so good.
I'm enjoying the series very much. The question I had for you is, George Takei was talking about in the last one that when he did the voiceovers, they did them one at a time. Do you guys do yours as a group, or do you yours as one at a time?
Oh my.
now and then. But from the very beginning, they stressed group records, and which I'm very grateful they did, because we have a lot of dialogue in our show, and I think the relationships are very important, and I don't think we could have established those tight bonds and those tight relationships if we weren't in the same room acting together.
That's much more relationship oriented if you can look at the person and actually have a scene, like you're actually doing a real scene with someone. It's not just, you're not just hearing them through headphones, you can actually look at them and fight with them.
Well, and that's actually a really good example, because when we had those scenes with Ahsoka and Varys, where they're, literally facing death, and, they're deciding, hey, we're going to sacrifice ourselves to save them. That was a very emotional scene, and I think had we read it separately, I don't think it would have come across the same.
No, I just don't physically live in LA anymore, so it's not possible for me to go there and record the thing. So in my case, though, it really hasn't presented any problems, because the characters that you don't interact that much with the other people in the scenes. I mean, Yoda basically tells people what to do, or he's dropping witticism or mysticism on somebody. But there's very little back and forth dialogue with Yoda. And the same is true of Admiral Yularen. He's an admiral. He's ordering people around. There's not a whole lot of emotional interplay with Yularen. He's the boss.
And the great thing about when Tom's not there is that sometimes Dave Filoni asks us to try our hand in bad Yoda. Somebody has something to read against, so that gets pretty interesting sometimes.
Well, they're always looking for backups.
I have those questions too. One, I wanted to actually ask, is there any other big Yoda episodes coming up?
I believe this season there's a couple that are more Yoda heavy than we have seen recently, and I know that next season there's a fairly important story arc that involves Yoda. So, and we're not even sure how far this thing's going. I mean, we were originally told there were 100 episodes, but we passed that, a month ago in terms of recording. Enjoying this for several years ago.
My other one was just a bit of an opinion. If you could all pick one episode, what would be your favorite?
Well, for the thing that generated your question, I think from a fan point of view, not just because it's Yoda, I like Ambush. I think a lot of the older fans, that was the most Empire Strikes Back-ish of the episodes that Clone Wars has done in terms of Yoda's personality and stuff like that. So for me, just as a fan to watch it, that's my favorite one. And doing it also is kind of nice.
So, thank you.
Any other favorites?
Citadel Rescue. Gave Tarkin a gun, what can I say?
I like Senate Spy a lot because I like the interaction with Padme and Anakin in that one. I love Rookies because Bradley Baker is amazing. And I also always say Innocence of Ryloth, the character of Numa with Waxer and Boyle is just really a great story that I really love.
Yeah, I always say I like the Mortis trilogy. I think the animation in that is stunning. I thought the writing was great. Christian Taylor wrote that 3-part story arc, and I thought it was great. And Sam Witwer and Matt Lanter in those episodes, I thought their performances were fantastic. So I thought that was an overall 3 episodes. Those were my favorite.
I liked Brain Invaders, but I got to play 2 sort of different characters in that one. Varys, who's always good and kind, then gets invaded by these brainworms and she has to turn evil, so it was nice to play dichotomy of characters.
I had nightmares after
My action figure comes with brainworms.
From a fan standpoint, do you think that in the season premiere of this season, should Akbar said it's a trap?
I can say that during the recording session, you did say it many, many times. We all had a lot of, I think everybody said it. It was a lot of fun, but it was pretty close.
The thing that's kind of funny is, everybody who works on the show, probably for the first time in the Star Wars franchise history, was a fan before they worked on the show. And that's part of that's just, timing, that so many years have gone by that there's a whole generation now of people that are artists and writers and actors that were fans first. I mean, Dave Filoni was 1 year before he was directing the Clone Wars, he was dressing up as Plo Koon and going to convention. So, it's just one of those things where it is a little different, I think. It's a labor of love for us in some ways more than, it might not want it to be. I don't know where I was going with that, but it is happening.
What's interesting is the actor who plays Akbar, though, his name's Art, and I knew him before. He is probably a bigger Star Wars fan than me. So when he
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do. When he got that part, and I saw him at the session that first day, he was almost in tears. So it was really cool to see this person who was such a fan and such a fan of such a cool character, such an iconic character that so many people love, to get to bring him to life. He was truly, truly honored, and hopefully, maybe next year he'll be here and you guys can meet him too, because I know he would be really excited to be here.
I came up to him at the premiere, and it was just weird because he was acting weird about me because I'm the older Akbar.
In Star Tours,
In Star
he's rode
Tours
the new
and-
Star Tours ride.
The games and stuff like that. But it was funny because he was like acting all weird, like hoping I would like his Akbar, and I came out of the thing going, like it, dude, you nailed it. I mean, it was flawless. So I was like, went from being a little jealous that they didn't use me to going, okay, this is better. But yeah, it was a thrill, because like the old fans like me to hear anytime there's a tidbit, something original from the movies that they can work in. It's always a big thrill for everybody to hear and to work on because it evokes the original films. But the funny part is I've actually had a couple of people say that their kids, because of just again timing, this is their Star Wars, and then when they've seen the movies, they think that some of the stuff in the movies came from Clone Wars. So they're like, "Oh, I heard Yoda say that in one of the Clone Wars episodes." I'm like, well, no, actually, it isn't that.
I just had a couple of questions. My first question is George still very much in the process of the whole animation and the whole story? And as far as Ahsoka Tano and Anakin Skywalker are concerned, is their relationship going to continue to develop and even deepen one somewhat? It seems like it's getting pretty deep. As far as the development of characters are concerned. No, not romance or anything. I'm saying as far as Jedi from Jedi Master to Padawan, is it going to continue to develop or
The relationship between Ahsoka and Anakin? Absolutely. I think we've seen it from the beginning of the series until now, how much closer they've become. She's very much like, I would say, Anakin's little sister. I think we've all seen by now, I saw the crazy music videos that were developed in the beginning, where people thought the relationship was more than just purely platonic. But I think we've all seen now just the relationship they've developed is really just like brother-sister, really close. And it'll be interesting, because I say, this is my personal opinion, Ahsoka, I think she would be shocked if she knew what happened in the future. I think she only sees the good in Anakin. She may question, well, not may question, she does question his actions and what he does quite often. But just the thought of him being married to Padme and him turning to the dark side, I don't even think she would believe it. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know what is coming up in the future, but it'll be interesting to see what she does find out, how she reacts. I don't know any of that. I'm like you guys, I'm a fan. I'm anxiously waiting for the scripts to see what happens. But I like the direction it's progressed. And I think what we've seen with Ahsoka is she's become less of a sidekick and more of just one of the gang.
Right.
Like, I think she seems like less of a Padawan and more like she belongs to be there. So I'll be interested to see what comes next, because I don't know.
What was the first part of your question? You had something about?
how involved is George Lucas still very much involved in this
Oh, absolutely.
process? Yeah.
I'm not up there. I'm just like, I know. Oh yeah, we were eating lunch the other day. No, from what I've been told and
The development of the story
Yeah, he's in every meeting. He's in the pitch meetings, he's in the story development meetings, he sits there while they're editing. I mean, from what I've been told by Dave and about the people that work on it, he's more involved in Clone Wars than much of anything in years. He really likes this project.
And a lot of times for me, at least when we have what's called pickups, which will be you go in and there's an episode that's done, but you have to come in and do something either to fix a technical difficulty or to add a line. A lot of times those notes will be directly from George. Like, in this scene, he wanted you to yell more loudly because there's all these spaceships going on. Or, he wanted you to add this into this line because it sounded to this. And so I definitely would say he's really not just overseeing, but very detailed about the vision that we're putting out, which is exciting.
This is for Ms. Eckstein. For your clothing line, Her Universe, I want to first thank you for creating it. As a fangirl, it was hard growing up. You saw it all in the boys section. And so, are you planning on releasing that to the stores, or is it just going to be online only?
We definitely plan on releasing it to the stores. A fact that many people don't know is the reason we really haven't been in stores yet is because we didn't have the rights to sell in stores. We only had the rights to sell online and at conventions because honestly, we had to prove to a lot of people that girls would buy merchandise.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know it sounds silly, but we were met with a lot of skepticism. Lucasfilm was unbelievably supportive. I mean, I can't thank them enough because they gave me an opportunity when nobody else would, frankly. No one else wanted to believe that women would buy sci-fi merchandise, and I kept on laughing at them. I'm like, half of all sci-fi fans are women. Why are you saying we wouldn't buy it? But it was almost like they gave us the opportunity, but we had to prove ourselves. And so that's why, I just can't thank everyone enough because every single purchase is actually making a statement. It's saying that, okay, women will buy, and that's all we're asking for. We're not trying to say that Star Wars is for girls, or we're not trying to say that sci-fi is for women and it's a girl's world. No, it's for everyone. All we're asking for is just equal opportunity. So when a guy and a girl walk into Hot Topic and the guys have 5 Star Wars shirts, we'll have an equal amount and made for women, and we don't have to go to the men's section and continue to buy the same stuff they're buying. Yeah. So we're getting there. We've only been out about a year and a half. However, we've received lots of interest from certain retail stores. And I think a big thing, I have to thank everyone here that came to Disney Star Wars Weekends because Disney gave us an opportunity to sell at Star Wars Weekends, and they were so surprised by the amount of women that bought the merchandise that they're going to pick up our merchandise year round. And that's truly because all of the women out there. I have to thank all the men out there who are buying for their wives and girlfriends and daughters. We're making a statement, and slowly we're getting out there. So it's coming, just it'll take a little while.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you all being here with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you guys.
Dave's not here, and he can be kind of cagey on his answers, so you don't have to be cagey.
Dave is watching. He's probably watching live. Right?
I've been told what we're not allowed.
Well, you can say this, I would imagine. No spoilers, nothing ahead of time, but I'm curious what you think your characters know. Ashley, does Ahsoka know about Padme and Anakin, or what does she think? Stephen, does Mas Amedda know who is behind the Sith? Does Tarkin later know who Vader is?
Well, I think those are all really great questions. I think, that's part of the reason why those characters have been introduced, so we can start exploring the answers to those, in more detail. I would kind of like to think that most of these guys are a little bit more in the know than maybe we think they are at the moment. The whole thing with Tarkin, this gets brought up a lot because there's a scene in episode 4 where, Vader comes to Tarkin in the sort of Death Star conference room over there. He said, my old master is here, I feel it. He must be dead by now. And it's like, whoa, we just said Obi-Wan's name in that scene. It's like, well, he obviously knows who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. Whether he knows the full backstory between those characters, I imagine that's part of what we're going to find out in the Clone Wars. But I think we've got a little bit of a ways to go from Captain Tarkin to Admiral Governor Tarkin of the Death Star. So there's a lot of ground to be explored. And as far as Mas Amedda is concerned, he is an interesting character. Like you were saying, you don't like him, or Padme is.
When we are recording, that's one of those times it really makes a difference, because to me, it's great to be with you when you're playing that character, because I feel sort of evilness.
No, I agree. We should do what she says. It's really, she's right. No, you're right. We should do that. And, I'm on the moral side. And Dave Filoni's, told me one time, he said, Mas Amedda is kind of a survivor. He's like, whoever's on the winning team, he's suddenly like closer to them. It's like all of a sudden than the other person. But yeah, I imagine I would love to see like an episode that really featured Mas Amedda as really integral to the plot. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. I think would be a good idea.
Ashley, what's Ahsoka know?
See, I don't think Ahsoka suspects Anakin and Padme. Again, I think maybe that's where Ahsoka shows her age a little bit. And this is just my opinion. Dave may disagree with me. But it's funny because Ahsoka's had to mature a lot. And I think we see most times the mature side of Ahsoka. But then there's moments, and you'll see a couple in season 4 where she truly acts her age. Which she's a teenage girl. And I think one of them is, I don't think she suspects Anakin and Padme. What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, we talk about this a lot. Like, sometimes I talk about it with James Arnold Taylor and whether or not he feels that he knows something. We've kind of come to the conclusion that C-3PO knows. And that's it. But I think it's interesting as actors because we have to make our own decisions about what we do and don't know.
Yeah, we do discuss that. Because, I mean, we've had a scene where Ahsoka and Padme are talking, and Ahsoka alludes to the fact that her and Anakin are close, but to her, they're just great friends. Isn't that nice? I don't think she realizes it, is my opinion, and we'll see. It'll be interesting at what point her eyes are opened.
Thank you.
And the Empire has the don't ask, don't tell thing, so C-3PO will never say anything.
Yes.
I have a question for Captain Taker. You play a lot of Star Wars characters, including Mission Vale, Knights of the Old Republic, Princess Leia in The Force Unleashed, and Padme in Clone Wars. But out of all the Star Wars characters you've ever played, which one's your favorite?
You should be my publicist, first of all. Second of all, I love things about all of them. Mission, because she was my first job. So that was really exciting, and to already be a Star Wars fan and to get to become a part of the universe, little did I know that the rest of this was coming. So I love Mission. It was fun to play Leia, but Padme is the one that's truest to my heart. I always say that I love that she's a lady and she's elegant and can do girly stuff, but she'll pick up a blaster when she needs to. And that's my favorite kind of female character. And why Ahsoka's such a great character too. It shows girls, that you can be tough and get in there and fight when you need to with the boys. And I just love that about Star Wars. So Padme is my ultimate favorite. So I feel really lucky to get to play her. Thank you.
I know Lucasfilm doesn't tell you much, but have you heard them speculate anything about a future Clone Wars film to end the series, like they had one to begin the series?
Well, they talk about everything because, you have to understand this. Like I said earlier, the original vision that George had was a certain number of episodes, and but even as amazing as George can be, he can't see the future. He didn't know if the show was going to be a big hit or a flop, or who knows. And they're still developing things. I mean, this is obviously they're making this all up. They've got a universe of characters that some of which are established and some of which are new, but there's no, hard and firm path. So they sit around and say, well, how do we go from here to here to here to here? Obviously, they do have an anchor at one point that all the lines have to converge to, in terms of how to wrap the Clone Wars up in terms of these storylines, because we know what happens next. But how that's going to happen, I'm telling you truthfully, is not decided. It is a subject of great discussion amongst all of them. as to where to go, how to do it. So, I mean, there's talk of everything under the sun. The thing I'm showing the final episode on a blimp at the Super Bowl. I mean, who knows?
I also don't think that the first film was intended to be a film originally. I
No, it
think
wasn't.
the Clone Wars was created to be a series, but it was so good. It ended up being so beautifully, artistically done, and they turned it into a film because it was just the quality of it seemed a higher caliber than just for television, so it was released as a film. And if they end up doing that for the finale, who knows? But it wasn't intended to be a film. It just
And
was so good. It should.
that was Warner Brothers doing. It wasn't even something that came from Lucasfilm or George. Let's make a movie and then turn it into a series. It was a series from the beginning. It was the Warner Brothers executives that said, "Wow, we cobbled together 3 episodes. We can make a movie out of it," because they thought it was that good. But again, we don't know. We will know shortly before you do, and shortly I mean however long it takes someone to Twitter it.
Thank you.
Okay, well, first of all, I would like to say that the humorous statement is about to go on its way to Japan. My best friend lives in Japan, and she really wanted the Daddy's Little Girl shirt, so I just ordered it, and it's going to be going to her from my house.
Wow.
So, yeah, she was really excited.
Oh, thank you.
So, yes, her humorous is on its way to Japan.
Oh, cool. We'll ship to Japan, so thank you for doing that.
And my other question was, how did everybody's auditions come about?
Well, mine came through my agents, which is where I get all my auditions from. And the first character that I auditioned for was Masameda, which was a season 2 episode called The Duchess of Mandalore. And Tarkin pretty much, and the other characters I played pretty much came the same way. They came through auditions through my agent. Of course, they change these auditions when you get them to, so they don't have like keywords and plot points. They're all removed and made into things that don't make any sense. Like, why are we talking about a school bus? It's like, what kind of a character is this? It sounds like medieval or something or other, but the security is very high. So, sometimes you get in, you're like, oh, that's what we were talking about. That makes sense now. But everything I've done so far is pretty much come from my agent.
Mine was an audition as well originally, and I know I've told the story before, but I was pretty new to voiceover, so the casting director didn't have me on her list of people to see, and my wonderful agent, called and said, no, you have to see her, she is Padme. And so I luckily got in, and then Dave and Henry at the audition said that everybody that was coming in was really good, and they had a lot of great choices, but Dave says that when he heard me say Annie, that they were like, that's our girl. So, and when my agent called to tell me that I got the job, I at first didn't believe her, and I was like, you're kidding me. No, seriously. And screamed really loud and scared my neighbors. So it was a really great, fun experience all around.
They had the exact opposite reaction with me when they heard me read a Padme line. They didn't even let me finish the line. I guess it was that bad. I was halfway through my line, and I knew I wasn't the right fit for Padme. I told my agent, and I'm usually a pretty positive person, but I almost didn't go to the audition because I said, this is just pointless. I just don't sound like her. And he was like, no, just go anyway, you never know. And sure enough, they cut me off halfway through, and I was like, darn it. And luckily, he said, no, you sound way too young to be Padme, but we have this new 14-year-old girl character. And that's how it happened for me. I didn't even know, and they didn't even tell the agents that there was this new character. They just, all the girls that were coming in for Padme, they had them read for Ahsoka as well. So it was, they were very, very secretive about it. I know I've talked about this, but I didn't know I was playing Ahsoka until I was already cast. So and then they said, oh, by the way, keep it a secret for 2 years.
Mine was the same. I auditioned through my agent. They asked they wanted to see someone with an English accent, not English. And I've been obsessed with doing accents since I was a little girl, and so I was very excited to do Barriss as English. And I think also part of the reason why I got it maybe over some other proper English actresses was because when I was a little girl, I did a movie called The Journey of Natty Gann, and it was about a girl and a wolf. And our director, Dave Filoni, is obsessed with wolves. He has like a little wolf dog, and he's just obsessed with wolves. So he, I think, was excited to have me just being with him and work with him. That was really funny. He's really, he's accessible. And then once I did Barris, like we said before, if someone's not in the room when we all work together as a cast, they'll ask another actor in the room, they'll say, oh, Yoda's not here today, so Eric, you be Yoda, or someone will just do it as a joke. And then I always was doing other little accents while we were performing, and so then I was given an Australian girl and then a few other characters just because I was playing around. So the other roles that I got were because I was just being silly in the room.
Okay, it's not being silly though. It's actually quite difficult. It's being talented. Meredith can do almost any voice in any accent, in any sound, right on the spot. And a lot of people ask how you get into voiceover. Well, that's a perfect example is Dave would just throw different things at Meredith, and she's able to do it on the spot. And so it's not silly. It's talented.
Or silly. Or being silly.
I was kind of grandfathered into the whole thing because I've been doing stuff for Lucas for probably 20 years. Back when I started out doing games, back when they were on floppy disks the size of card tables. Most of the people in the room under the age of 20 probably never seen a floppy disk, but you used to have to put in 15 of them to run a game. But anyway, I was just doing miscellaneous, TIE Fighter pilot number 3 or Imperial officer number 2 or something like that. And like we all talk about, you read the lines and you read. And again, it's not trying. You're not really trying to show off. It's just part of the animal we are. It's like I guess it'd be like a football player, not being able to resist picking up a football that he finds on the ground and throwing it to a friend. I mean, it's just what you do. And so we are constantly reading other lines and other characters and trying different voices for it. And sometimes the director or the producer will say, hey, that would actually work for that one. Well, that's kind of the way I was, is I've been doing Yoda for 15 years for games and toys and stuff, and Frank was done, he retired. So they were just like, well, just keep using him. So, and the other thing, the opening narrator and Yularen, the same thing. I had to audition for it like anybody else. They, read this, and they listened to it and decided who they wanted to use. And sometimes it's not just, as much as I'd love to say on all of our behalves that we're just so scathingly brilliant about something we do, a lot of times it's just, especially if you're already a major character. I'm not trying to denigrate myself, but I'm sure that part of what got me the narrator and Yularen is the fact that I was already Yoda. And under the rules and regulations of the contract we got for animation, they can use you for 3 voices without having to pay you more. So from a sheer business point of view, they're not going to bring 3 people in to do those 3 characters if Tom can do the other 2. So, I'm modest enough to admit there might have been a much better narrator out there, but they're going, yeah, but Tom does it, it's free. Time to do the scrubbing bubbles guy.
You have to be careful when you making parent noises. And I did a funny sound during one of my sessions. Like, oh, who did that? Like, Steve was like, oh, yeah, you're going to do that now.
Yeah.
This character for that thing you do. And I'm like, oh, okay.
So with there being so much Star Wars out there between games, comics, whatever else, how does that kind of work with the story? I mean, it seems kind of like a minefield to kind of trudge through so you don't mess up someone's history. And then also if there was any characters from those things, either movies, whatever else that you guys want to play, itching to play.
Well, I can tell you one character that would be interesting to play, but I don't know if he really has any dialogue. That's Lobot. I just think that guy is so cool, and he's just a really interesting character. As far as the story goes, I mean, we get a lot of. Dave gives a big pep talk before each. I remember the very first episode that I was in. It was, I think it was the Duchess of Mandalore, which was part of a multi-story arc in season 2. I didn't know what was going on at all. I mean, the episodes that they had worked on prior to me showing up, they hadn't been aired because it was a second season. So I'm sitting there trying to wrap my head around these things. Like, thank goodness, Dave Filoni came out and said, "All right, here's the way this whole thing works. You're doing this, you're doing that. This guy's doing this. He hates her because of this and that."
It's kind of a good day.
But it was very difficult to keep up. But I mean, they do take a lot of care about making sure the storylines aren't crossed, things like that.
And that does not fall, the responsibility does not fall to us, thankfully.
Yeah.
So we just come in and like said, Dave gives us a big rundown about what's happening and why. And not just logistically, but sometimes he'll pull me aside, and I've done this with Ashley, to talk about the emotional reasons that your character is doing something and really get in deeper to it. But we don't have any of that real responsibility. They oversee us. And I want to play Jane solo. So. Yeah. I've done Land Academy, so I want to do Jane solo.
Wow.
Well, my 2 cents is that, like I said earlier, this is the first project probably, it's certainly of its size, it's staffed from top to bottom by fans. So there is, you would believe the level of knowledge that someone like Dave Filoni has about Star Wars. I mean, I've never encountered anything ever that he doesn't know. And other people involved in the same way. So if anybody proposes something at a writer's meeting or a plot meeting or whatever that's going to cause problems with the expanded universe or whatever, then someone's going to immediately go, ah! So I'm sure that occurs a lot, but not for us. It's already settled long before we get involved.
I would like you guys to do your voices.
Well, I'm Captain Wilhuff Tarkin, future commander of the Death Star, and I'm also Masameda, the Chancellor's right-hand man, and sort of I still call myself a semi-evildoer.
And I will say, Anakin, ever since I met you, you've been playing with droids. It's a Wookiee. Loyal Padawan bears all from at your service.
Just be by my side, do you? General Kenobi, you must control your Padawan. He's a royal pain in the... and of course, Empire at War, as the scrubbing bubbles clean up the Death Star's toilets.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Thank you. Of all the characters on the show, which is your favorite?
My favorite is Cad Bane. He's bad. I love his outfit. I love the way he's drawn. I love his face, his blue, and his hat. He's like an Indiana Jones. And he's super cool. Bad, but cool.
I'm with her. In terms of the bad guys, Cad Bane wins in my book. But I mean, I like Yoda obviously just because of my involvement. He's the cool character. But he's not in the show. But I want to be Darth Vader too. Good guys are fun, but the bad guys sometimes get the best line. So, no, I am your fault. Spoiler.
I like R2-D2. He's always been my favorite. He's usually the one I feel like that saves the day.
My favorite is Yoda. What can I say? Always has been, and then meeting Tom, who's such a great guy too, it just makes it even better. So definitely Yoda.
I'm turning green. I do like to sound self-absorbed, but I do have a fancy for Captain Tarkin, primarily because I was a big fan of Peter Cushing and his work, in addition to what he did for Star Wars. I was just, all the hammer he was an incredible gentleman, an incredible actor, and just to be able to play this role, I get excited every time, okay, when we were doing the original Citadel trilogy, I didn't get all of the three pre-skip scripts in advance, so I was kind of like kept in the dark. So it's very exciting to see what happened from episode to episode. He truly is my favorite.
I had a question for Kathleen Tabor and Tom Kane. Y'all were both in Star Wars Knights of the Republic, and I hear y'all are going to be in the new video game Star Wars The Old Republic. And how does it feel to come back to that?
It's pretty cool and exciting for me. Like every time I get to take on another Star Wars project, I'm just like, yay, thank you. And with Mission being my first job, it meant a lot. But this new character, Vet, although she is also Twi'lek, is very different than Mission. And I'm just excited as someone who loves games. But I think this game is going to be really amazing, so I'm kind of excited to play it.
Yeah, I've got two characters, one of which is returning from the original. And it was funny because we did it so long ago, nobody could remember what he sounded like. So we actually had to summon it up at LucasArts, had to go run and find a game and plug it in until they found my character. So we go, oh, that's what he sounded like. But yeah, it is amazing. They told me that, probably because it's an MMOR, obviously, but they said there's more dialogue in this game than all the other Star Wars games put together, all of them, forever. So, I mean, we're talking scripted stuff. I mean, I've got a moderately, just a mid-level character in this thing that is, I can't talk too much about it because it's a entirely new thing that has not really been existing before in the Star Wars universe, but it's a mid-sized character, and I've probably already been recording 18 hours of this. I mean, it's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lines for a character that's this big. I can't even imagine what the main character scripts are like. They're probably as tall as I am. So this is going to be a game that from what, and again, you can hear from the people that are working on it, because they're gamers too. They're so excited about this thing up there. So I think you guys are going to be happy. So.
I have a question for Catherine Tabor. Could you tell us a little bit about your Games for Soldiers?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. It's really just a little tiny thing that I just kind of wanted to say thank you to our soldiers who are deployed, because I have this really amazing life as a silly little actress here in this great country, and I wanted to be able to do something, and I thought, well, a lot of soldiers really like games, so I just started Games for Soldiers, which I get donations from friends who are gamers, so it could be a game or two, and sometimes from companies. They send me boxes, and I just ship them over to soldiers deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then sometimes actors will give me, headshots and notes and stuff to put in the boxes too, and it's just a little something to say, we're thinking about you guys, and here's some fun entertainment.
The reason I was asking is because recently this summer, my garrison and I did a fundraiser, and we sent you a bunch of your comic books. Yes, I'm Karen. Hi, Karen. And I said we sent you a bunch of comic books and a few video games and some DVDs. And as I was working through your publicist and you, we had such a good time doing this fundraiser for you. I discovered that you were not an honorary member of the 501st.
No.
And so today we're gonna fix that. So today I have some things for you, if we can come and bring it to you. On the back of the garrison. Yeah, he's down here. It's an honor to present this to you for the wonderful work you do in our fandom, and especially for bringing strong female characters, which is my heart, and bringing strong female characters and role models for the new generation. We also have your very own name tag, and we made a special badge for you with you on the back. And we have just a couple of other things for you. These are the patches from our garrison. Being Louisiana, we have Mardi Gras, which is unique to anybody else. It's also coins, and it says presented to Catherine Tabor, by Vast Alpha Garrison. And we have this made specially for you. And I have more. This is my favorite part. We worked very hard to present this to you. This is your very own custom carded action figure with you on the back. At Star Wars Fan Days in Irving, Texas, October 8th, 2011, to commemorate her induction as an honorary member of the 501st.
I really want to thank you guys and what you did for donating to us. It meant so much to me, and it's allowed me to fill a bunch of boxes to make all the soldiers happy.
I want to encourage other garrisons to get behind her Games for Soldiers and do what you can to bring games, and we just sent DVDs and comic books and things for the soldiers through her organization.
Hi there, my name is Joey.
And my name is Kimberly.
Thanks for listening to the Mystic Place blog and podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this episode.
Joey.
Yes, Kimberly.
It is my turn to talk.
Okay.
Thanks, Joey.
No problem.
If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to send an email to chris@mysticplace.org. That's ChrisAtMySticplace.org.
You can visit the blog at www.mysticplace.info. Have a nice day.
Take care.